To introduce Mayor Noble and hear his update on community policing in the city of Kingston. I'm going to stop sharing and allow him to share with you. Welcome, Mayor Noble.
Well, thank you so much, Melinda. Thank you everyone for allowing me to present today about our community policing initiatives here in the city of Kingston. We've got a lot going on, and so I'm going to try over the next 20 minutes or so to fill everyone in and all of the work that we've been doing here in the city, and then hopefully be able to also answer any questions that the community may have. So just a little bit about me before we get started. I have been the mayor here in the city of Kingston since 2016. So I am halfway through my second term at this point. Before that, I spent 10 years working with the City of Kingston Parks and Recreation Department. And so I have a love of the City of Kingston that dates long ago. And we, through that love comes in the office of the mayor, a lot of responsibility. And one of our top responsibilities is to make sure that people can feel safe in the community that they live, that they work in, that they travel to and from. And for my job, that isn't always easy. And we're through very complex community issues, working through many concerns that cross political boundaries and are issues that have long, existed within our world and our society, and present themselves right in the local level.
Yeah,
and
hang
so
on one
one
second.
of the things that we really pride ourselves in here in the community of Kingston is that we try to police the community as the community wants to be policed. And so today I'm going to go over some of the initiatives that we've worked on over the last couple of years, and hopefully through that process also be able to hopefully teach you about some of the new things that we're in the city. So one of the first innovative programs that we launched together with our city and our members of the public, a project called Peaceful Guardians. It has now since turned into an organization, and we've continued to deliver really wonderful collaborative programming with Peaceful Guardians. But the concept was, can we link up our police department members with members of our youth to be able to provide mentoring opportunities while also training our officers on implicit bias, self-care techniques, going as far as teaching our officers how to meditate so that during stressful situations, they have the opportunity to take a breath and be able to also make sure that the job, which has such high stress levels, doesn't take an undue toll on the person's personal health as well as their family. And so this program has expanded to now have partnerships in the Kingston City School District. And as you'll hear later on in our presentation, has also gone on to help us create much longer term plans on how we as a community can make sure that we have the best community policing programs, in our area. One of the things that we recognized with our officers is that it can take a physical toll by just the nature of the job. Being able to have our officers sitting in a vehicle for 8 hours a day is not healthy in its nature. And many of our officers, haven't had the opportunity to get the physical, exercise and so we had that problem. But we also had the problem of our officers not necessarily being able to have enough time to be able to make the connection with our residents that happens when you're face to face, front porch to sidewalk. And so we said, what if we initiated a community program where our officers were required to walk at least 40 minutes per shift in the areas that they're patrolling, So not only will they be able to get that additional physical exercise, basically 20 minutes before a mealtime and 20 minutes after a mealtime, and then um, the benefits of being able to have those direct communications with our residents, being able to play basketball with the kids out in the street, to be able to have porch talk with the neighbor. All of that happens so much better when our officers are out of their vehicles. And it really helps to break down barriers. And we've really felt that, through these walking assignments, we've been able to create much deeper relationships, and we hope will also have lasting physical impacts for both their mental health and also their physical health by being able to kind of get outside and really explore this beautiful community that we live in. And just to get a sense of how many officers we have, 71 sworn officers. Recently, we just received approval to add 3 to that. So we'll, officially now we have 74 sworn officers. And they have a variety of different duties, everything from patrol officers, which we see more often. They're the ones out on the street checking if you're wearing your seatbelt, responding to calls. We also then have an investigations division. We have the divisions. We have our special investigations staff. And we then operate 24/7. So we have 3 different shifts that work around the clock. And so at any given time, there are about 7 officers out on patrol. And so those are the ones that you'll see, participating in these walking assignments. One of the things that we, as so many organizations in the nonprofit, for-profit, and government world, are now recognizing that there's not enough time in the day to do everything that we want to do because of we as a community calls every year. And that's a lot of calls, and that's a lot of responses. And so we felt like in order to be able to make sure that we were getting out in the community and not just responding to calls, we actually gave all of our sergeants, our leadership in the police department, basically an overtime budget to say what unique, proactive community initiatives can you think of that you can then offer your so that we can start to really rebuild some of our community. And so some of our sergeants wanted to do more walking and bicycling. Some of them wanted to have more attendance at community meetings. Some of them wanted to do that kind of door by door, some of them wanted to make sure that, we don't have speeders going through our different rural and residential parts of our city, and making sure that we also are looking at crime through an environmental design lens, working with landlords and property owners to make their properties safer, but not through increased police presence, but by better lighting and better vegetation and by better measures that they can do as property owners to help prevent crime. We started this past May, and it's allowed us to be able to do some of these initiatives while not taking away kind of the patrol and response function, but it's also allowed us to be able to develop some of the initiatives in a way that also we could do within our city budget. All during this process in 2021, we also were undergoing, and I'm sure many of you have probably heard about the governor's Executive Order 203. This executive order tasked every single police department in all of New York State to re-envision public safety. And what could we do as a community to be able to better our police department, to better our community policing initiatives, to create new plans, new procedures, new processes, and to tackle some of the deeper issues related to community police relations. And so we had folks from all over Kingston volunteer to participate with on this task force. We had folks that were social workers, attorneys, educators, mental health folks who understood and worked with folks with addictions to be able to help us, focus in some key areas: use of force and accountability, police recruitment. We held town halls, and we wanted to be able to have a report that was able to provide um, on what to do to make sure that our was policing the community as the community wanted to be policed. And so for us, that meant updating our policies. It meant coming up with plans to be able to provide more mental health and addiction treatment as part of our response, as part of our police response, making sure that more of our officers were trained in crisis intervention, and making sure that we were prepared to handle folks with a variety of mental health, presentation, to make sure that our officers were by far the best trained. So talking about unconscious bias, procedural justice, making sure that our officers understood what this meant and how they could best use the training that they have to better respond to calls in our community. A big tenet of our recommendations were creating better trust between the police department and community members. And so there's a variety of ways that, trying to build that trust. Talking about making sure that if we are going to SROs in schools, that we have the right processes in place for them and the right rules and regulation. And if we can't figure that out, then they shouldn't be there. And to be able to make, in the end, our police department of the best, and also make sure as we possibly can. So about a month and a half ago at this point, we recognized that over the last couple of summers, in particular, we had an uptick in violent crime, mostly related to gun violence. And so we said, what could we do to be able to tackle gun violence, but do it in a way that was collaborative, doing it in a way that included mental health services and social workers, and doing it in a way that did not people feel even less safe in their community. And so we created this anti-violence effort response team, AVERT for short, which brings all of those partners together to focus on those that are under the age of 24 that have the ability to either have an illegal weapon, know someone that has an illegal weapon, or could easily get their hands on an illegal weapon, and then insert ourselves to be able to make sure that we break that cycle so that those folks that have not used the weapon in a crime yet, but are holding on to one, are the easiest for us to be able to reach, to be able to make sure that they understand the consequences of what would happen if they use that weapon. And this involves everything from talking to the youth directly, talking to the grandmother or the aunt or the uncle, talking to their friends, working to be able to make sure that we are, disrupting and diverting that youth into the really amazing youth services that we already have as a county, but doing it in a way to be able to make sure that we don't lose yet another young person to gun violence. And we've just had too many deaths already in our community, and so we feel like this is a great way to be able to move the needle. And so far this summer, knock on wood, our police department, all of our other policing agencies, our community members, we've really tried hard to work together, and we've had a very good summer, and we hope that the fall continues in that way in terms of a decrease in violence. And in order to do that, as I mentioned at the beginning, we did add 3 additional officers that are going to really help us support both this effort and all of our community policing initiatives here in Kingston. And I just wanted to mention, these are some other things that we've done over the last couple of years. We did see the need to be able to create a bilingual police officer position. We have a growing Spanish-speaking population here in Kingston. And so we feel like our municipal workforce, and in particular our first responders, like the police department, should start to reflect better our community. And so by bringing on bilingual police officers whenever we can, and actually having a dedicated position in the department's budget for that, really is an important piece of this. Also being able to make sure that, we are trying to kind of do everything we can, everything from, our groceries for guns buyback initiative that we did earlier this year to be able to trade people Hannaford gift cards for weapons of all different types, to be able to add new police commission members that represent the diversity of our community of both values and ethnicities, and be able to continue to enact accountability guidelines, and also be able to have events like this where we're actually reaching out to the community and being able to talk about the work that our police department is doing. And so one of the last things I wanted to mention is, what's next? And so we have a lot of wonderful work that has been done by our Executive Order 203 committee. We have all of these good, solid community policing initiatives, but now we need to really be able to figure out, where do we go from here? And what we believe are kind of our 1-year plan? What are we going to do in 2022? And what are we going to do over the next 5 years to be able to change the way we police our community and change the way we approach policing? And so for me, some of those key areas are focusing on increased mental health services, that happens at the same time that our officers are responding in kind of a mobile mental health kind of concept. But then how do we continue to boost, morale of our police officers? Because hiring police officers right now is really difficult. We have in the next 6 to 8 months, we expect another 8 vacancies on our police force, with lots of people retiring. And so trying to get more people, more diverse Kingstonians to want to be a police officer is really, it's been a challenge, and it's something that, we hope to be able to work on over the next couple of years to be able to kind of build, the department, again, to reflect the community, but to be able to build it in a way that creates this kind of community policing mentality that runs through every part of the department, from the patrol members of the department, all the way to the detectives, to the leadership, and then also to the community, so that we're all talking the same language and we're all working toward the goal. And the goal that I have is to make sure that we have a safe community for everyone, and that everyone feels safe here. And, we just are really, we are hopeful. It has been a learning experience for all of us with policing in our country and in our community. And I am excited about what's in store for us. And I hope that this was able to, give you all a little bit of an overview of some of the community policing work that we have done over the last couple of years. And I do want to just take a moment to thank our police chief, Egidio Tinti, for his work and his leadership of the department. We couldn't do this work if we didn't have the leadership in the department that was willing to do this work with us, and to really partner with elected officials and partner with the government to be able to make all of this happen. And so with that, I think I will save a little bit of time for questions. So I'm going to end my screen so I can see everybody.
Thank you so much, Mayor Noble. Having safe neighborhoods is truly a social determinant of health. So we're just delighted to have you here today to talk about how the City of Kingston is handling policing and increasing the safety of the neighborhoods. We do have some comments and questions in the chat. We have a comment from Kathy Nolan that says walking assignments is a fantastic idea. Let's all put that assignment into our work weeks. Or maybe into every work day. We all need to connect more deeply within our communities. Thank you, Kathy. And then we have a question from Isis Benitez. When will the SNUG program be implemented into Kingston?
Sure, that's a great question. So we have contracted with Samadi, which is a local organization here in Kingston who works in a variety of different services. They are working closely with the SNUG program in Poughkeepsie. So we've provided $20,000 for startup funding and are working currently with our state senators and assemblymen to make sure that New York State recognizes Kingston as a SNUG community so that we can kind of get the full state sanctioned SNUG program here. But I'm happy to say that we are right now working to build our own program, with our partners at Samadi.
Thank you. Lisa Heinz from TFAC has also asked, what challenges do you feel the legalization of marijuana will bring to Kingston, and what's being done to get ahead of it?
Yeah, so I think for us, there are a couple of challenges. I think we're hopeful to be able to, see all of the rules and regulations unfold for both how the sales and use of it will work. We're happy to see that it's being treated like any other tobacco product in terms of, where we already have posted no smoking and all of those other regulations. I think that we are very interested in how the state is going to make sure that cannabis does not increase the number of people who are driving impaired. That still needs to be figured out, I believe, at the state level on how we're going to test for that and how we're going to manage that process. I do hope that with revenue that may come from this, that the revenue gets reinvested back into the communities to be able to help figure these out and help to pay for these. Situation as it arises. So that's kind of what we know for now, but we do see that it's coming. And, I think in the next year plus, we'll probably see this figured out. But I am happy to see, I just saw that our former state senator, Jen Metzger, was just appointed to the Cannabis Control Board. And so I'm happy to be able to know that there's a local person that I know many of us know and trust that will be having our voices on that board.
We have another comment and question from Kathy Nolan. This is a great program. Congratulations, Mayor Noble. In terms of the bilingual police officers, would it be possible to encourage current officers to learn Spanish, possibly with community members teaching? Kingston Land Trust has offered Tierra y Quimote as a way for English and Spanish speakers to share a meal together and let native Spanish speakers take the lead in conversations with beginner, intermediate, and advanced Spanish speakers.
Yeah, I think we really encourage our officers to get additional training, especially in the area of language. So we actually give incentives for folks who go to college and take college classes. And, it is difficult with their schedules because our officers are working so much to be able to find time for additional training. But many officers are picking it up on their own just because it's easier for them to do their job. And so I'm actually really happy to see that occurring already without any kind of enforcement mechanisms. But I know that as part of the hiring process, we're very strongly looking for bilingual speakers in those positions.
So we have a few more questions. We may have time for about 2 of them. Police officers in Saugerties are fitted with body cameras that are issued to them just like their weapons. The police chief there, Sinagras, says that the cameras are popular with rank and file officers. They reduce complaints by 90%. I know that Ulster County Sheriff's deputies are using them already. Do we have any intention of following suit in Kingston for the rank and file? And that question is from Rocco's.
Yes, actually, we were the first police department in Ulster County to have body cameras. And so we actually have had body cameras for the last 5 years. And so they have been really wonderful for our staff. Every one of our officers are outfitted with them, and they've really helped us. And one of the things that Kingston has is we have a citizen advisory board that runs the police department, and they are actually, we review every single use of force that happens, whether complaints are received or not by members of the public, which has been really good for Kingston.
Sophia Skiachis asked, how have the SROs been received by the students in schools?
Yes, so recently the school district just went through a whole process with a committee and interviewed lots of staff and school students. And for the most part, our SRO program allows students their first interactions with law enforcement, and by and large, they're very positive experiences. And I think if you talk to students, especially those at the Kingston High School, they have a lot of really positive memories of how the school resource officers played an important role in their life. And so our job there is to just be able to make sure that the school district and the city, communicate and have really good language in our contracts to make sure that SROs are not acting as disciplinarians for school officials. That's really important for us. We want to be there to be mentors, to be guides, and really to just be able to make sure that we help in crisis situations. And we don't want to be yelling at someone for not doing their homework.
So we have a lot of other positive comments in the chat, which I encourage everybody to read because we're just about out of time. But there is one question that was asked and I see answered in the chat. And that came from Susan Lennon, and it's just, what is SNUG?
Yes, and so generally speaking, it is gun spelled backwards, but it is a street outreach program that disrupts the cycle of violence. So if there's a shooting, SNUG comes out to the community. They meet on the street corners. They inject themselves in a safe way into the situation, both with the victims and with the potential assailant, to be able to make sure that there isn't any further back and forth violence between the impacted parties and in the community at large. And so it really is a direct, kind of a non-law enforcement, program.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you so much, Mayor Noble, for joining us today to share with us on initiatives in policing in the city of Kingston. These are messages we'll all take into regard when we're working in our daily lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to return to our guiding PowerPoint, and we'll introduce our next guest. Our next guest is Evelyn Wright, Deputy County Executive of Ulster County, and Evelyn has been a presenter at our Healthy Ulster Council meetings in the past. We welcome her back to share with us about Ulster County's Green New Deal.
Hi, Melinda. Hi, everyone. Really nice to be with you today. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to share my presentation. How's that? You see the slides? Melinda, I can't hear you.
But I think unless everyone else is seeing it differently, I'm seeing half of your screen, like
Yeah,
half the slide.
Really
yeah, only half the screen.
yeah.
There we go. You got it. Yay.
Okay.
Okay, maybe if you try it again.
How's that? No. Yes.
Yes. Yay.
Okay.
Success.
Great. All right. Well, thanks so much for the invitation. Really great to be with you. We launched our Green New Deal plan on Earth Day this April. And I want to, before I tell you about what's in the plan, I just want to talk about the phrase Green New Deal and what we mean by that and why we're using that particular terminology. So I like to break it down into green and New Deal. So the green part is, all the things we know we need to do with great urgency to protect our environment, stabilize the climate, transition to a clean energy system, protect our soil, air, and water. So all of that green. And then the New Deal piece of it is really based on the intuition that all of that work that we need to do to transform the energy system, stabilize the climate, protect the environment, creates or can create an enormous amount of economic opportunity. There's a huge amount of work to be done to rehab our buildings, to install solar energy, to upgrade our electricity grid, to change the way we get around our communities and the way we move goods around our community. And there's the opportunity there for that to create really broad-based prosperity, but only if we really focus on making sure that those opportunities really reach everybody. So there's an equity piece of this, a justice and inclusion piece to really deliberately build a green economy that does benefit everybody. And so it's really bringing those two pieces together and seeing them as one, as really one initiative or set of initiatives that led us to choose the phrase Green New Deal to reflect this. So our Green New Deal has three components: accelerate the transition to clean energy, build that equitable green economy, and make sure that we're conserving our natural resources and continuing to build both environmental and social resiliency in our communities. And in each of those three areas, we built our plan around 3 time horizons. Things that we're going to tackle right now, some 5-year goals to keep us on track, and where we want to be by 2040. What the transformation that we're trying to create by 2040 is. So I'll walk you through a little bit about what's in each of these 3 areas. So in accelerating the transition to clean energy, again, that's the realization that we really need to massively accelerate that transition. We have been moving towards a more efficient, more renewable energy economy for quite some time now, but the scale of that needs to speed up dramatically if we're going to stabilize the climate. So we need to get to that point of that clean, renewable, high efficiency, zero carbon economy within the next 20 years. And that's a big challenge. So some of the things we're doing immediately this year, on Earth Day, we launched a Solarize campaign that lets residents anywhere in the county plug into local community solar. How many folks have heard of community solar here? Is this something that you're all familiar with? So a lot of familiarity. So community solar is a program by which anyone can sign up to get solar from a solar farm rather than putting solar on your own rooftop. And so I'll put up the link at the end. If you haven't checked it out, if you don't have solar for your home right now, please go to Ulster Solarize and sign up. Later this year, we're going to be developing a Green Business Champions program to help our businesses and organizations green their operations, access renewable energy and energy efficiency upgrades. We know that folks who are running businesses or busy organizations may have somewhere on their list of things that they'd love to do, being able to upgrade their facilities. And we'd like to make that easier because we know how busy everybody is, and sorting through all of the options that are available, and especially all of the different state and utility programs that are available to help you pay for those upgrades can be very, very challenging. So we're going to be setting up a program to help folks navigate that, to make choices, to access financing help, and then to recognize and celebrate those who are taking leadership in this way. We're also, the county is supporting municipalities in working through the state's climate smart communities and clean energy communities programs. Those are state programs to help municipalities green their own operations and save on their energy costs. And we're going to be beginning a community climate action planning process that will help us map out a roadmap for this transition across the county. County Executive Pat Ryan also has announced that we just need to draw the line on new fossil power plants in Ulster County. We've been working with our municipalities to make sure that they have zoning in place so that they don't get surprised by a power plant proposal that thinks that they're zoned in by right. So those are things that we're tackling right now. Where we want to be by 2040 is we need to make sure that all of the electricity in the county is coming from zero carbon renewable sources. We have an enormous amount of work to do to retrofit our homes and buildings so that they are clean and energy efficient and healthy. And so we're setting a goal of getting to 50% of that done by 2040. I did some rough calculations with some folks from the clean energy industry. We think we need to speed up the rate at which that work is happening in the county approximately 30-fold. And I'll talk about that some more when we get to building the green economy, but that's a huge piece of it. We've set a goal that 100% of county vehicles will be powered by renewable fuels by then, and that all county residents will have access to zero carbon transportation, including making our population centers safer for walking and biking. So, we've got a series of 2025 targets that we're working on to reach towards those 2040 transformational goals. I won't read them all to you, but on every one of those areas, setting targets and setting policies to make sure that we are moving towards those 2040 goals. The second portion is that green economy equity building piece. So we know that all of that work creates an enormous amount of economic opportunity, and we need to make sure that those opportunities reach all of our residents. And so our Office of Employment and Training last year began convening what we call our Green Careers Coalition. We're working with our training partners, SUNY Ulster and Ulster BOCES, along with a whole set of contractors and companies in energy efficiency, solar energy, heat pump installation, green building, to come together to talk about what are the skills that these businesses need and the people that they hire. Are we in our training programs training people with those skills? What's the match or mismatch between the job needs and the training programs? Because in order to scale up the clean energy work that we're doing 30-fold, we've got a huge workforce development challenge. Folks anybody who's tried to do work on your home in the past year probably knows we have a real shortage of workforce in the skilled building trades. And that's partly a result of how we've trained young people for their futures over the last generation. And what we're really seeing as we work with our Green Careers Coalition partners, with community organizations in the clean energy space who are doing outreach to young people about these careers, is that what we've started calling green collar jobs really transcend the old divide between white collar and blue collar work, or between working with your head at a desk and working with your hands on a work site. Green jobs require a real combination of a high level of technical understanding, knowing how buildings work, knowing how advanced energy systems work, combined with the hands-on know-how to get machines and components working in a physical space. And so what we're finding is that that's actually really appealing to a lot of young people who don't want to have to choose between being trapped behind a desk and being just a pair of hands. And so we're working on really trying to build out career pathways that are exciting and accessible to both young people and career changers, and create a lot of entry points for folks into either training programs or apprenticeships or on-the-job training opportunities, so that people can find pathways into what I believe is going to be just a really constantly in-demand skill set over the next generation. So we're also setting up a Green Careers Network to help match job seekers with green employers. We ran a green component of our summer youth program, youth employment program this summer, and are running a green component of our youth employment program over the fall. We're working on putting together a green economy network that will bring different kinds of green businesses together so that they can network with each other. We can learn more about what they need and how our offices can better support them. We're establishing a green growth fund that'll finance infrastructure projects for greening our community. We are working with a consortium of partners to launch. I'm really excited about this. I hope we can get it off the ground. An accelerator targeted towards water solutions. So a lot of the green economy space is clean energy related, but we actually have an incredible amount of know-how and technical capacity here in the Hudson Valley around water, between the Hudson River and all of the organizations that work around that, and the DEP watershed. We just have an incredible concentration of folks who work on water resources, water protection, water assessment, water management. And so that's an area that we're trying to grow as a portion of the green economy. And finally, this year, the county executive signed an executive order that's going to require that all county renewable projects are from projects that are paying prevailing wage or working with project labor agreements. This is an important, really important piece of the transition to a clean energy economy, that we make sure that the new green jobs are jobs that are just as high quality, family sustaining, benefits paying jobs as the fossil economy jobs that they replace. We don't want to have folks feeling like in order to protect union jobs, they have to protect fossil fuel projects. And so it's really important that those of us who are boosting renewable energy and energy efficiency are making sure that those projects are creating just as high quality jobs. And so community solar kind of created a loophole for public procurement in terms of paying prevailing wage, and that's something that we want to make sure has been really a principle for all of our procurements. So those are things we're tackling this year and into next year on building the green economy. And we have a vision of really the Hudson Valley being recognized as a center of excellence in the green economy. That by 2040, when people think about where is innovation in the green economy happening, again, not just clean energy, but also water resource management, also designing the next generation of materials that are going to be low carbon and low waste, designing products to be zero waste from the outset, that people think of the Hudson Valley as the place where that work is being done and the place to be if you want to be in that field. I think that is a both compelling and achievable vision. I think we're actually partway there already. And so we're looking at creating a Center for Climate and Environmental Solutions that will be a hub for research, innovation, education, and workforce training for supporting the development of that green economy. So some of the things that we're looking at doing in the next 5 years on that is really piloting green careers education in middle school and high school to start changing the conversation about what the pathways that are available are. If you as a young person want to have a career future, get away from the college as the only model, and really look at the diversity of green careers that are available. We're looking at starting a Green Job Corps as a service year to work on greening our buildings, and using these networking opportunities to start reaching our businesses and our job seekers and networking them together. And finally, the third component of it is all the other things that we're doing to conserve our natural resources and build resiliency. We know that as climate change continues to progress, protecting our natural resources is just going to become even more crucial. And so we need to keep improving the health of our soil, air, and water, and build up our resiliency to climate impacts, as well as ensure that all of our residents have access to the bounty of our natural resources. So this is a whole set of different initiatives, including our county planning department is embarking on a transportation resiliency study that's going to look at all the roadways in the county, assess them for their vulnerability to flooding, and identify projects for improvement. We're starting in on a countywide natural resource inventory to help support planning across the county and tie municipal data sets about resources together. We've started a low impact tourism initiative to encourage more responsible use of our natural areas that have been in such high demand the last couple of summers. We are working with municipalities on a Housing Smart Communities initiative that will help identify priority development areas and core conservation areas so that we can do more thoughtful and strategic development planning. We've been working with Scenic Hudson. They've done some really remarkable work on supporting solar siting decisions, and we want to get that work out there. We're continuing every year to expand the trails network and really placing a priority on access to trails for all of our populations and population centers, and making sure that we're increasing the connectivity of the trails network. And we are working on with some of our agriculture supporting organizations on some of the techniques that are coming out to improve the carbon sequestering ability of both our soils and our forests, and really following all of the state efforts on creating programs to help our farmers do this. And so, we are looking in the next 5 years to really work through that list of resiliency projects that we need to do, get all of our municipalities engaged in using the natural resources inventory data to support smart development and siting decisions. We've also initiated a process to review about 36 foreclosure eligible brownfields for environmental risks and get those cleaned up and back into productive use, and really envisioning that our trails network by 2040 is connecting all of our population centers to our remarkable trails. So I want to encourage all of you there's some ways that you can get involved in this. I have more information about the Green New Deal up on the county website, and you can sign up for community solar through our Solarize Ulster campaign. That's at solarizeulster.org. And I would love your help in getting the word out about all of these opportunities, and especially to folks that that may be interested in green careers. Or greening their business. There are links that forms that folks can fill out on the Green New Deal website to get plugged in with both our Office of Employment and Training and our Office of Economic Development on those two pieces. So I will stop sharing and take any questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Evelyn. You've shared so much about the Green New Deal. I want to remind our members just how important this project is to our community becoming more climate resilient and how that relates to health. Just in decreasing our carbon emissions is so really, really important. As we know, we've just had a lot of severe storms, and the flooding and the drought and high heat that comes along with climate change really affects our most vulnerable populations, along with an increase in disease vectors, air pollution, asthma, cardiovascular disease. This is really, really important work, and it links directly to the health of our community. So we do have some questions here and some comments for you. The first would be from Christine Noble, who has shared that for networking, these brochures should be distributed to the Weatherization Assistance Program through Ulster County Community Action, so they can give them to people that they served. And Christina shared she used to be the energy coordinator for seniors there.
Yeah, thanks.
And Kathy Nolan just shared that she signed up recently for community solar through the Ulster County site, and it was really easy. Excellent. So that's to encourage everyone else to get on there and do that. And I'm still taking questions. Does anyone else have other questions for Evelyn? I actually have one at the moment, and that's just in connecting to some of the opportunities through OET. What's the turnaround on that? I mean, how quickly do people get funneled into training?
So it's really going to depend on a case-by-case basis of what folks are looking for. We have a series of classes that are available at SUNY Ulster in the green building and clean energy field. And we also have on-the-job training opportunities available with particular contractors. And we've been working with Citizens for Local Power, a community organization that's been running a really great kind of pre-internship program. They've had a couple cohorts of it so far, where participants, it's a 4-week program, participants rotate through 4 different contractors in energy efficiency, solar energy, heat pump installation over the course of those 4 weeks. So they get a real kind of mix of exposure to different portions of the clean energy and green building space. So depending on what the particular person is interested in, those can be things that can happen right away or may take some time to spin up, but they can call our Office of Employment and Training for more help with that.
Are these college age interns, high school age interns, or just any adult in the community?
All over the map. We have programs for in-school youth, out-of-school youth, and adults.
Great, that's good to know. Sophia Sciaccia also asked, great idea to reach out to the youth for opportunities for careers, and wondered how many youth are involved now, roughly.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we had, I'm going to say someplace between 12 and 20 youth in the green track of the summer youth program this summer. And we have a handful who are in on-the-job training experiences right now.
That's awesome. Any other questions for Evelyn? We have a request for a copy of the PowerPoint, hoping that we can share that with members after the meeting.
Yep.
And we have a comment from Vin. This is great work. The American Public Health Association said last week that climate change is the most critical factor that will affect community and public health challenges going forward. Emily Flynn asked, is the Community Preservation Act part of the county's goals of resources conservation?
You know, that's a really valuable tool, and one of the pieces that we've been also following is the efforts at the state. I think Senator Metzger had introduced this in last session to expand what can be funded through the Community Preservation Act to housing development as well. And I think it's just it's absolutely vital that we do our conservation and open space planning together with our housing and development planning. Too often they've been happening separately, and we've turned it into kind of an either or thing to the benefit of neither. So we've really been advocating that when we're looking, we need to look holistically at the community and say, where does it make sense to build and where does it make sense to protect, and do that decision making together.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming and sharing with us again. I can't let you off the hook without one more question just popped up though. This is from Kathy Nolan. Does Ulster County plan any further solar projects, and will we consider doing anything with large scale battery storage? I couldn't say largish, sorry, I still can't.
So we are planning a small solar project. We've got a little bit of funding. We're trying to put together some more funding to put solar on the roof of the UCAT facility. So that'll be our next project. On larger projects, it's looking like the route that makes the most sense for the county is really to be the anchor customer in community solar projects rather than to build our own in most cases. And so I think it would really depend, in terms of the storage, it would depend on whether that was something that was built into those projects or not.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming and sharing. I'm delighted to have had you present, and I will be so happy to share the PowerPoint afterwards, and I encourage everybody to go to the website and learn more and share it with all of your clients. Thank you again, Evelyn.
Thanks very much. Pleasure to be with you.
So this brings us to the next portion of our meeting. I just want to pull us back here. And this is that great part where we get to stand up and stretch. You've been sitting for an hour, and our Healthy Ulster Council does model healthy meeting behavior. So we always encourage that. I hope you have a glass of water next to you, something to drink that does not have sugar, a healthy beverage, and that you also have, if you're snacking, that it's a low fat, low salt, and no sugar snack. But this is the time that you need movement. We spend a lot of time in front of our computers, so please take a moment, stand up, stretch, or sit at your chair, give yourself a chance to stretch a little bit, and we'll just take that 1 minute. Move your back around, hop up. If you're uncomfortable because your camera's on, turn your camera off for a minute, but when you come back, please do turn it back on. We're heading very quickly into our networking session where we would like to hear from all of you. So give everybody a minute. And while you're standing up and stretching, I'm going to just tell everybody about our Healthy Ulster Google group. If you have received an invitation to one of our meetings and you have attended, you will be invited to our Healthy Ulster Google group. This is a space that you can share and receive information. The Ulster County Department of Health often shares research briefs there, and you are also welcome to share program updates, professional development opportunities with other members. You can use this space to collaborate with some of the other members. And the platform allows for collaborating in Google Docs or Google Spreadsheets. So I will be, if you are not already a member of this group, after this meeting in the next week or so, you'll get invited to join. And you can, if you so choose, bow out of it at any time. Under the membership settings, you can also change your display name so that it's not just your email address, it shows your name, and link it to your own Google account. You can adjust your subscription or leave the group. So please say yes, try it out, see if it works for you. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody back from this stretching and just have a quick talk about our collective active action project. So if everybody could turn their cameras on.